Good morning, everybody. See if that works. That does work. It's a pleasure to be here. What an amazing industry this is. It's filled with heart and it's filled with soul, and just looking around the room and seeing the hugs and the smiles that this is a family. This is a group of people united to make life more rich and fulfilling. You know, their careers which can extend life, but this is a business that improves it. It makes life worth living. Culture is the backbone of travel in all the cities we go to, and food is chief among them. And in the last few years in Denver, with the blossoming of the culinary scene and how many people are pouring into this town because of the things that you've created in this room, it's truly inspiring. The innovation that's occurring in the back of the house and in the front of the house, it's just great to be a part of it. And I was thrilled to be a part of it working in Boulder, and thrilled to be a part of it as an independent consultant, and now in branding and advertising. But you think about food, you think about beverage, you think about the experience, and I want to talk a little bit about that last piece, the experience, and something that's central to the experience, which is the culture that's created. And so the title of this got away from me a little bit with Cultures That Care. I'm not here to deliver like a Hallmark card to you today, but I do want to talk a little bit about what some of these great restaurants do behind the scenes, and maybe there's a framework, maybe there's some things that we can incorporate and some concepts to help us grow our culture. But before we do that, at the heart of culture is hospitality. And so, having traveled all around the country and around the world, first of all, every business is a hospitality business. I don't care what they sell, what products they offer, and the businesses that recognize that it's not so much about the product or the service, but it's more about the relationships, are the ones that tend to succeed. And this is the industry that teaches people how to really, really build and grow relationships. So the skills which we offer are just incredible. Every business is a hospitality business, but having traveled, let's see if this works. There we go. I've sort of seen, just as menus fall into different genres, you might have new American cuisine, you might have Mexican or Italian. Hospitality tends to fall into a few different categories. And you can imagine maybe visiting restaurants or visiting a bank or visiting a couple other places and seeing these types of hospitality before. So the first one is functional hospitality. And so that's the delivery of a product or a service with little regard for who it's being given to. It's very much, I have this. It's not even I have this is for you. The you doesn't really enter into the equation. So functional hospitality is borderline no hospitality. And, there's some great places where you're just going and it's, kind of a hole in the wall, and it's kind of cool and the food's amazing, no real service, but it's still, awesome in its own way. So this isn't totally bad, but it's a niche. The next one, I'll back up, I think I advanced one. Next one is erratic hospitality. So erratic hospitality is there's definitely a desire to provide hospitality here, but there isn't really a vision or a focus. It's be nice, maybe remember the order, be nice, smile, but it's all over the board, and you find yourself going that, you find yourself saying that, it really depends upon who you have, whether the experience is going to be good or bad. It's kind of erratic hospitality. The next one, scripted hospitality. This was the answer to erratic hospitality, and this allows companies to scale, but it's the ultra standardization of hospitality, where people are talking at and not to you. The professional smile and the specials that are delivered just right over your head, and you're not sure if you're interacting quite with a person, but there's definitely they're hitting on all the things. And there's room for that, that helps businesses grow, but there's something missing in the overall experience. It can feel disingenuous. And so in answer to that, polished hospitality. So polished hospitality is amazing. Polished hospitality is founded in service standards, hundreds of service standards, at the 4- and 5-star level, and it really, when it's done right, is beautifully choreographed. It is like a dance. When it's off a little bit, it can seem a little bit stuffy, can seem a little bit stodgy because there are so many things which people have to keep in mind to present polished hospitality. Polished hospitality is in some of the nicest places around the country and around the world. That's what fine dining is really all about. So I want to talk about a new kind of hospitality which fits into these other types, but also might evolve it a little bit. So while polished hospitality is focused on standards, I'd like to talk about organic hospitality. We talk a lot about organic ingredients and what that means to allow something to grow naturally. So organic hospitality is creating a culture where hospitality grows naturally, where people are able to have a natural connection with their guests. And instead of an idea of mirrored service, it becomes empathy, because it's coming from a genuine desire and skill to take care of people. And that's kind of organic hospitality. And it's less of a training topic and more of a culture. So organic hospitality is your restaurant's unique expression of service in both the front of the house and the back of the house. When we think about our concept, we think about the menu a lot, and the menu drives a lot of our differentiation. We have the same opportunity in the front of the house, looking at our sequence of service, asking ourselves what type of experience we want to create. And at every point in that sequence of service, how can we make it unique? How can we do something that's ownable for us? And so when you have the menu that's differentiated and the sequence of service that's differentiated, people can only get that experience at your restaurant. And so it drives awareness and it drives loyalty to you. As I mentioned before, it's a culture more than a training topic. So let's talk a little bit about that culture. Culture is a group of people that are united around a shared set of values. And why is it important? We just talked a little bit about why it's important. Retention and satisfaction and creating a sticky environment that people want to be a part of, both employees and the guests. And so that's kind of what we're talking about today. So organic hospitality, the genuine desire to connect with people and the ability to connect with people, is at the top of this culture. And right underneath it, organic hospitality occurs when your people have a sense of ownership. And ownership, both in the front and the back of the house, comes when they feel empowered. And there are three areas that can empower somebody that you can build into this culture, and a lot of you have. And so values, expertise, and worthiness. So hit me really quickly with this answer to the question: how do you want guests to feel whenever they interact with your restaurant? What are just some words? What do you want guests to feel? Home, welcome, what else? Comfortable, I love it. Anything else? Inspired, I love it. Okay, so those are all beautiful examples. Nourished, pampered, needs anticipated, delighted. Those are all what we want our guests to feel. So what we can do is we take those values. So you take those, all the words that you just said, inspired and delighted and home, and what if you made that your culture, not just your guest experience, but you turn it around and you look internally and you're like, okay, when we build our business, we're going to build it around a feeling of home. Everyone feels at home. Everyone feels delighted. Everyone feels pampered. It's not just the guest experience, it's the employee experience. And so you put those values at the top, and you can develop operational principles, the ideas that bring those values to life underneath, and you can create sort of a chart. So if your example of a value is you want people to feel delighted, your operational principle to bring that to life is look for ways to happily surprise. So if your value is to nurture, what operational principles can you have to execute against that? And that can provide a framework for the type of culture that you want to create emotionally. So we have our values, we have our emotional foundation, and so from that, that's crucial, right? That people feel connected to a place. But then after that, we've got to have expertise. Expertise is crucial, and it's an ongoing thing. And from my experience, problems fall into one of a few categories. It's knowledge, organization, communication, attention to detail, and speed. And so every single kind of mistake tends to fall into one of those. And knowledge, probably chief among them, are the most important, I would say. Because when people go out to a restaurant, your staff has the ability to guide them on this journey and getting them fired up about food and beverage and the craft of service and the craft of culinary is kind of what it's all about. So creating this idea of Kaizen, which is Japanese for continual learning. And if you just think, if I improve 1% a day, in 365 days, you've improved 365%. So what can you incorporate every day to focus on knowledge, organization, communication, attention to detail, and speed? The last piece, hypothetically, is worthiness. Worthiness, because in this industry, people sometimes can feel like servants and not empowered. And our job is to show them their unique source of greatness and to build upon their strengths and to use their strengths for them to contribute to our culture. And when they do that, they're going to love you because you've brought out a piece of themselves which they now can have a piece of self-expression, and you've inspired a shared vision now. It's not just yours, and you've inspired other people to act and to be a part of it, which they'll love. And so they'll stick around and give you the highest version of themselves. So the idea here is identify and build upon the unique source of greatness in each one of your people. So doing this it's more than training a position. You're looking for ways to grow a person in the front of the house and back of the house, using what they do as a metaphor to help them improve and grow as people. So you've grown a person instead of trained a position, and then you enable that person to contribute to your culture. And this is tough, right? We know what's going on, and that's why Culinary Kickstart is such a cool program, giving people a 4-week entry into this field, but to get people hooked up to your culture and really showing them the importance of it so they buy in emotionally and technically. And every business is a hospitality business because every business serves a human need, and organic hospitality simply puts the human above the need. And that's what makes this business so amazing, is about nurturing relationships and growing people. And it's at the heart of what we do, and it ultimately leads to our success. And that is it. All right.